This is 100 days of hardcore survival on a single chunk. This chunk starts us off with a special villager which will allow us to use wood and cobblestone as a form of currency. We will also have various obstacles in our way, such as the zombie spawner deep in the chunk. In order to keep myself occupied all 100 days, I have made myself some goals that I'd like to complete before the 100 days are over. Starting off, I'd like to hollow out the entire chunk all the way down to bedrock. I would then use the freshly dug out space to make my home slash base while also making a huge section dedicated to crops. I would also like to turn that zombie spawner into an actual grinder that I could use for XP. And finally, drumroll please. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's nothing too special, it's just defeating the Ender Dragon. Anyways, on the first day we started off by chopping down the oak tree that we had. We had two other birch trees, but I'm not a big fan of birch, so I just broke down the oak, and then I made myself a couple things. I got myself some sticks as well as a crafting bench, and after placing it down, I crafted myself a nice little wooden pickaxe. I then traveled to the little mine entrance that we had on the back end of the chunk, and I was able to get enough stone so we could craft ourselves a full set of tools. Then it was time to visit Howard. Howard offered us some trades that would basically change the way we would play this entire series. Now, usually we'd be pretty limited with resources, but with Howard, we're basically allowed an infinite amount. And for whatever weird reason, Howard has a weird obsession with oak planks. Now, oak planks are the main resource that he likes, so as long as we have a big supply of oak planks, we'll have unlimited emeralds. After speaking with Howard, I made sure to immediately craft some torches and start placing them around the top, as that would be the only way to avoid mob spawns, and that top layer of the chunk is basically the only land we currently have. So it had to be safe for us to use, and I also made sure to light up the cave area. We're gonna jump straight to days 2 to 10. We basically did a lot of repetitive things and I don't want to bore you guys to death, so I'm just going to guide you through the events that happened between days 2 and 10. And like I had mentioned at the beginning of the video, I wanted to hollow out the entire chunk all the way down to bedrock, so I made sure to get started on that. And when I was digging down, I eventually found a cave, or at least what was left of one. Considering it was a single chunk, half of the cave was just cut open, so I was able to see all the mobs in there pretty clearly. And usually I would just rush in there and try to take them out, but since I am doing this in hardcore and I didn't want to risk dying, I took the safe route and built a staircase downwards and basically cut the room in half, and by doing so I was able to just make a couple holes in the wall where I needed to and kill the mobs without getting super close to them. That way we stayed safe, as we didn't even have a shield and I didn't want to risk it. After taking care of all those mobs, we kept on digging down and eventually we found our first iron ore. But you must be thinking to yourself, what's one iron ore gonna do? Well, like I had mentioned at the beginning of the video, we have that special villager where we now basically have unlimited iron. And with the steady wood chopping that we've been doing since the beginning, we had enough to basically get ourselves around 30 iron ingots. And after smelting the iron ingots, I made myself a shield, iron sword, iron pick, as well as a chest plate, helmet, and boots. And then right after getting our iron armor set on, I basically put myself into grind mode and just kept going back and forth between mining cobblestone and chopping down trees up top. We are crazy rich when it comes to cobblestone. We have like a full double chest of it already, and we did manage to dig ourselves all the way down to the level of lava, and we haven't found any new ores, but I'm hoping that we run into the zombie grinder so that we could start making a grinder out of it, and I'm hoping we get a carrot or a potato out of it so we could start farming and get ourselves a nice healthy food source. And this right here is just a little time lapse of me actually chopping down trees, because I don't want you guys to think that I'm just spawning in those emeralds, you know? And just like that, we finished the first 10 days of this series, and it was on to the next ones. Alrighty, days 11 to 20. Now, I kind of got a little cocky. Everything was going really great, and I did have a small hiccup, which I'll tell you guys about it, but we started off on the 11th day by doing some tree chopping, as we were going to eventually need more emeralds to purchase other goods. And once we finished chopping down those trees, we continued on with mining. We did a ton of more digging. We basically ran into like a little pool of lava, which wasn't too difficult to deal with. I basically just mined around it, and I also kept getting more iron and coal. And we also found the zombie spawner. Now, I was really excited. It seemed like we had just found the perfect way to make our XP farm, but as I started digging or uncovering it, I got a little surprise I wasn't expecting, and unfortunately a creeper came and decided to ruin the fun. Now this wasn't a deal breaker for us, as we could just make a dark room spawner, but the fact that we were out of a spawner now, it's just unfortunate, because I feel like having the actual spawner would have been a lot more efficient considering the amount of space we have. And as you guys could see, a witch did spawn and was just chugging a ton of fire protection potions, so the lava wasn't doing any damage, and after hitting her a couple times, I didn't even know where she went. And that's when I realized that she was actually swimming all the way to the top of the lava. Now, this spooked the crap out of me, and I immediately started running away, and I missed the potion that she threw at me. Don't know how that didn't damage me, but I was running for my life. But like the smart person I am, I went and actually traded with the villager to get some sand. So once I came back down, I made sure I was far enough to where the potions wouldn't damage me, and my plan was to basically suffocate the witch. Now when I made my way back down with the sand, I tried to kill her a couple times, but for whatever reason the sand was just pushing her to the side, and the third try I just completely whiffed it, so that was useless. But on the final try I actually got her, and that time I had used 3 blocks, and I honestly thought she wasn't gonna die. She was just tanking it all, and then finally, after I lowered myself, she aggroed and threw a couple potions at me, and she finally died. And we also chopped all the trees since they were now all fully grown once again. And it was back to mining, except this time I had an oopsie. So you guys know, right? Like I'm pretty clumsy. There's no doubt about it. I could be kind of dumb. And I was checking how deep the hole was for the lava pillar, and yeah, I stuck my head in there, and I thought I was gonna be fine because I had full health, but my heart just kept dropping. And like, let me show you guys. What the fuck? I'll be fine. I have full hearts. I need to run. I need water. Water! 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 I don't even know where I'm going. I need water. I need water. I need water. I need water. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Okay. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Just a couple hearts of damage. Ain't no need to worry. And after that pretty big hiccup, which would have been super bad if we died, because we really need to get to that 100 days since we didn't get to the 100th the last episode. But as we were mining, we did find a ton of redstone and diamonds as well. So now we're going to be able to trade with the villager and basically have unlimited diamonds. And as I kept on digging, I eventually found the end portal. And I had a tough time with the silverfish. They kept beating my ass for quite some time. All the blocks just kept breaking into them, and yeah, it wasn't fun. And then it was time to spend a ton of time mining obsidian. I needed to get rid of this lava pool because it was just in the way, and we wouldn't really be able to build anything in this area unless we got rid of it. So I basically turned the majority of it into obsidian, and I think in total I ended up getting like 40 something obsidian blocks. I did end up covering up some of the layers of lava deep inside, so I didn't mind that, but you know, it still took a lot of time, and I of course destroyed all the stone as well around it, and we were basically left with a clean slate. And this was at the end of day 20, so we were prepared to start building either our farms or our XP farm. And it's time for days 21 through 25. We started off by kind of building the outline to figure out where the middle point in the chunk was, as I wanted to get started on our builds, and I wanted to make sure that, you know, we built everything nice and even. I wouldn't want to build something and not have it be in the middle, but like I said, it's just a simple little plus sign that would help us configure the rest of the chunk. And after we built a little plus sign down at the bottom, we basically made another one a little bit up higher where I actually wanted to start building the grinder at. I was starting to space out my things because I did want to make all sorts of farms, one being the XP farm, but I also wanted to make some vegetable or crop farms. So we just kind of we were making sure we save space for everything that we want to get going in here. But before we started on the XP farm, we ran into a little problem, which was our ladder. It was in the corner. It was gonna be in the middle of everything. Like, we wouldn't really be able to build anything, so it was time to chop it down and basically repurpose it, and by putting it somewhere else. Ideally I would want a water elevator, but since we don't have the right items at the moment, we basically just had to move it over to the middle, or at least that's what I had decided to do. But as I was building up, we ran into a small little issue. See, there's a hole, so we had to really just like figure out how to maneuver around with it, which was pretty easy. But I did put a water bucket over the side of the chunk, so in case we did fall off, you know, we'd had something to catch us. But still, you know, it's risky being on the edge, especially when, you know, something could knock you off so easily. And after carefully building that ladder back up, it was time to smelt. I smelted a ton of stone because I wanted to use stone bricks just to try to make the grinder look nice. Cobblestone's cool and all, but you know, it's pretty ugly, and since we only have a chunk, we need to like at least make it look somewhat presentable. And it was time to actually get started on our XP farm. Now, like I had mentioned before, I wanted to just kind of make my own things. I didn't want to really copy any videos or tutorials, so I basically started out by figuring out what type of killing mechanism we'd have. And you know, at the time I didn't really know, since this is all kind of new to me, like making my own things, so I didn't really leave enough space. So we'll get back to that later. But basically, as you guys can see, we started off by kind of making this little like drop zone area, or what would be like where the mobs fall into. And once I finished the drop zone, I ended up filling up the sides with stone bricks as well. This is the area where we would put the water to funnel them into the little drop zone. And we patched the hole, but it looks pretty cool. I mean, you know, just walking up, patching it up, bye-bye, good night. But anyways, we then started on our little spawning platforms. I really didn't know what to do since we had very limited space, but I ended up making 2x2s surrounded by trapdoors, and we made a total of 9 spawning platforms on each side for a total of 18. But as I was building it, I felt like it wouldn't be enough and the farm wouldn't be too efficient, as it was pretty cramped up. As you guys could see, I mean, the walls are like right off like right next to the spawning platforms, so I also felt like mobs getting stuck would be an issue. But you know, we just had to do what we had to do. There wasn't really much we can do about it. As much as I would like to build outwards of the chunk, you know, we can't, because that would just defeat the purpose of the challenge. But you know, our grinder looks okay. I mean, considering that I didn't look for a video, this is quite innovation right here. This is what Minecraft's about. And we did take a little break because we ran out of supplies, so you know, I had to craft a little more. We were running out of stone. I needed to smelt more cobblestone as well, but you know, it's how it goes. You gotta get your materials and then build. It is what it is. And this is my first time playing one chunk survival, but I've been enjoying it a lot. It really reminded me of that old school type of Minecraft when I first started getting into Skyblock servers. That was a while ago, like I feel like a dinosaur. But basically, back then I would just farm, make these big farms, and just try to sell everything and make as much money to be on top of the balance sheet. Looking back at it, I probably wasted way too much time on that, but you know, it was fun. Being on top of the leaderboards, being Mr. Monopoly. You know, the server that I would mainly play on also had like a little NPC statue area, so my username and my skin would be on display for the server. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, the grind really fries your brain. We'll just leave it at that. Many blame TikTok for their short attention span. I blame it on me just AFK grinding farms on Skyblock while just being on my phone at the same time. And once the spawning platforms were done, we also built the middle wall to divide both of the spawning areas so we could actually make our water funnel. And we also built the rooftop to both sides. We basically just covered it up with cobblestone. In the meantime, you know, we'll probably use another block, at least something more decorative to make it look prettier later on, but for now the cobblestone would be just fine. And unfortunately, well, at least I caught onto it in time, but we basically had to like build a second layer to the wall, because if we didn't, all the mobs would just get stuck in that corner. So I'm just glad we figured that out and got it fixed. And we also did the same thing to the other side of the grinder as well. And before we completely closed off the ceiling, I made an infinite water source down here at the bottom, just so I wouldn't have to go up and down the ladder a ton of times and waste a ton of time. But basically the purpose of it was so we could just actually place the water down at the bottom without wasting too much time. And when we got done with that, you pretty much said, you know, we made sure to do it to both sides. Obviously, you know, we wouldn't want to have a dry side of the spawner, but you know, we got it done. And then our mob grinder was finished and was ready to go. I was excited to try it out. You know, I was about to make my way into it. Unfortunately, like I had mentioned, it was way too small and cramped. So Yeah. I don't know what it is. Apparently I'm just a magnet to these type of things because that happened last time and we died in that episode. We basically needed to reconfigure the entire killing room area because as of right now it was too cramped and it would just lead to even more disasters. And I was shitting bricks as it was happening because I honestly felt like I was just gonna have a creeper drop on top of me and end me. And after spending way too much time thinking about how I was gonna make this mob grinder work, I basically decided that I would just drop them into a killing area, except we had kind of a problem. See, since the creeper had blown up a lot of the trapdoors we had placed in there was a lot of areas where the mobs could aggro towards us and blow us up. So it was super dangerous doing this. I wasn't having a good time. I was worried that I would just die, but in the end we did get it done and we did restructure the entire thing so that now instead of it just being this weird middle area ground, it's now just an entire funnel. So the whole thing now funnels all the mobs into one killing area and we don't have to worry about being so close to the mobs like that again. I really don't know why I thought building with creepers being 2 blocks away from each other was smart, but yeah, it was a total disaster. Like if I was standing in there in the middle and the trapdoors were open, the creepers would just immediately blow up because they'd be able to see me and it's disaster waiting to happen. But I mean, at the end of the day, we live to learn, and that's the main reason why I am not watching any tutorials. So sometime down later in my life this will be useful knowledge, or at least I hope. But anyways, for our little killing area, we did go with a little classic, too high kind of killing area. The funnel was done, but I just went with the simple killing area. I didn't want to drop them down too far to damage them because, like I said, we have a single chunk and I don't want to waste any space. So the best option we had was to just build the killing area right underneath the drop zone. And once we allowed the mobs to actually fall down, we went on down to test it out and she was a beauty. She was working just like she's meant to work. And the grinder was more efficient than your average sweatshop. And we also spent the rest of the day doing some good old tree chopping to get some more diamonds. I did want to get ourselves a full set of diamond armor as soon as possible. We haven't really been dealing with mobs since I did light up everything well since the beginning. But yeah, I'm still worried, I'm paranoid. Since that last recording that I uploaded, that first Skyblock one, I'm paranoid that something bad's gonna happen. And we also spent a good amount of time farming some XP, because it's pretty amazing. I mean, look at it. Ooh, we basically just wanted a carrot and a potato. So, we got the carrot. We still need the potato though. And then days 25 to 30 were pretty tame, if I do say so myself. We didn't do anything too interesting, except we did give our chunk some well-needed TLC. We had been neglecting her quite a bit, but it was time to actually make it look a little nicer. So we started off by making the end portal a little prettier. We basically replaced all the stone on the floor, I guess, if that's what we're gonna call it, to stone bricks. And I did take care of that cross that we had built, that like guide for our grinder and all the other builds, because it was in the way and we didn't really need it anymore. So we got rid of it. But then we also had quite a problem with these damn silverfish that just wouldn't leave me alone. They just kept spawning even though I had slabs everywhere and a ton of lighting. So I don't know if like the spawner mechanism changed in the recent version, but obviously I don't really know how to deal with them because they just kept spawning. Plus every time I broke a block, they just kept popping out of the blocks. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, easy XP. We ended up getting rid of the spawner because, the silverfish don't really drop anything. So it's kind of useless keeping it unless somebody in the comment section is about to go off on me telling me how I just destroyed like a valuable resource or something, which I highly doubt, but you never know. But we basically ended up covering the top of a portal as well, just made it kind of look like the entrance when we found it, which I mean we could have probably just left it alone in the first place, but I just don't like all the mossy cobblestone. Like it just kind of, I don't know, I want the entire chunk to match. And since our XP farm was pretty much done, the only really other farms that we needed to get going were our crop farms. And I was obviously going to need a ton of dirt, so right after finishing that little project down at the portal, we headed on up to the top of the chunk and cleared out all the trees, which was a little bit annoying because we did have like 2 of the giant trees that kind of just like grew right next to each other. So there was just like a ton, and I mean a ton of like random hidden like oak blocks just like within the leaves. So some of the blocks were kind of hard to get. And I did need to be careful because, as you guys could see, some of the leaves do stick out, like outwards of the chunk, so I could fall if the leaves break. But we did clear that out, and then for us, the big trees were just helping us, really. I mean, yeah, it was annoying to break all the oak blocks that were randomly scattered, but the phantoms couldn't get to us because they were just getting stuck on the leaves. We spent the rest of the night farming XP, but then once day hit, it was back to grinding that top area. We started off by just breaking all the dirt and grass. I made sure to leave one grass because sooner or later I will want to get animals if they'll spawn, because so far, I mean, it's been 30 days and we didn't have a single farm animal spawn, so I'm a little bit confused about that, but I mean, it is what it is. We're doing fine without them so far, but it would be nice to get an enchantment table, and I can't really do that without books, and I would need a couple cows for the leather. So I guess my hopes right now are that I'll have a random villager trader spawn in and I'll kill the llamas, or I could breed the llamas. I'm assuming they give you leather, which might be a big assumption. I might be completely wrong and be living a basically like a hopeless fantasy, but you know, we got hope. We're waiting on it. We're hoping they spawn either way. Hopefully we get some good trades out of that villager trader if he spawns. I mean, for all I know, the spawns could be disabled. But yeah, we basically cleared out all the dirt, and once it hit night, we took a little break, farmed some more XP, and we still couldn't get the damn potato. Alright, I just want a potato. But I guess we can't have a potato. But anyways, we finished off farming all that dirt that was left, and we did break the stone that was on that bottom layer as well. And I had decided to build cobblestone walls in the meantime. I know we should have probably used stone, but I didn't really have the resources to smelt enough stone for this, because I was also using a ton of stone down at the bottom. So I felt like we would just temporarily build it out of cobblestone, and then eventually, you know, make it nice, make it look better. I still don't know if I want to make the top stone brick, or if I want to like make the outside of the chunk pretty. I have thought about making the entire chunk look like a Minecraft torch on the outside, but again, we need a place to farm trees. But for now, we had basically just made everything out of cobblestone. And it was back to the end portal once again. We actually took care of the inside portion this time. We cleared out all the walls, all the iron gates, or yeah, I think they're called iron gates. I haven't touched iron gates in forever. I don't even know if that's what they're called, but we got rid of those. When we cleared out the room, we had a ton of more silverfish coming to attack me, which was annoying, but kind of scary at the same time, because sometimes the floor blocks would break because one would spawn, so I could fall into the void. But we got rid of them, we worked it out, we called Ghostbusters and they were gone. So that was pretty cool. And we finished off day 29 by building another floor above the portal floor. So I guess this was going to be our base of operations. I guess this was going to be the chest room. I really hadn't figured out what we were going to do here, but I mean, we had a room for something now. On the 31st, we started off immediately in the morning by breaking down, I guess, a section of the chunk wall-wise. We took it down and basically replaced it with stone brick, as I was basically getting started on replacing everything with stone brick, except for like the little corner areas, because like I have been saying, I do want to make something nice on the outside later on. So I wasn't really too worried about blocks being left that didn't match the stone brick, because sooner or later we'd probably take care of that. And I had also decided to lower the roof on the mob grinder area because, I don't know, it looked kind of ugly, so I figured adding a roof that would be flat, kind of covering all the, like the water funnel, would look a little better. And I honestly think it looks a lot better. It looked a little weird, the lighting was off without us having that roof like that. Plus the little mill area, we left it with like a little canal, so it looks pretty nice now. And right after that, we basically took down all the walls and replaced it with stone brick. Now, like I had mentioned, we're going through a lot of stone brick, and I have been using a ton of wood to smelt into charcoal so we could keep smelting stuff. But I need wood to get diamonds, so the constant having to leave some wood for diamonds and then having to use some of the wood for coal, or charcoal I mean, basically just made it a little more difficult because we had to kind of decide what we wanted to do, or at least what we were going to prioritize. And then we headed back down to the poopy sewer, aka the end area. It looked horrible, so poopy sewers is what I'm calling it. We basically cleared up the floor, made it a little flatter and nicer looking because we had spammed a ton of blocks and slabs to prevent silverfish from spawning. But like I had mentioned, for some reason slabs don't even stop spawners from working. I don't know if it's the map or the version I'm on, but I was confused the entire time. I do know they were coming from the blocks I was breaking as well, but yeah, there's just a ton of them. And you know, it's okay, they don't do that much damage, but once you get like 6 or 10 of them on you, you get a little sweaty, you know. You get a little worried. But once we finished tidying up the floor, we moved on over to the walls. We tore down all the walls on the sides and basically put more stone brick. I know, quite repetitive, but I just want everything to look nice. I want it to match. I have been thinking about maybe using a type of wood, but I'm not really sure, as the only wood we currently have is oak and I believe birch. And birch is ugly, I don't like it, and oak is just oak. Like, if I could get dark oak, it'd be nice. I do know we need some villagers, but I don't know how that would work considering we're in one chunk and the mob grinder already takes up a lot of like the entity space that's available. So I'm a bit confused as to what to do when it comes to like adding villagers or not. And it was time to get started on our crop farms. I basically made 4 layers of dirt, and this would give us enough space to put at least 1 layer of wheat, potatoes, and carrots. And the 4th one, I don't know what to farm there because it'll probably be a mix of what we have, but we don't really have access to other seeds or crops. So for now, it's just gonna be a random little spot, I guess, until we find something. I'm hoping we get a trading villager in here, see if we could buy something off of him. But other than that, we just made the 4 floors, and all we really needed to do was figure out some sort of water system, because I didn't just want to have like source blocks on each layer. So in my head, I was thinking that we should probably just do some sort of like elevator thing where we would just have 4 source blocks at the top, dropping all the way to the bottom floor. But I was so confused because the bottom area underneath the lowest floor, I wanted to really make like either a cactus farm or a sugarcane farm. I wasn't too sure, or maybe half and half. I was still brainstorming ideas. I suck at brainstorming ideas, so it takes me a while to figure out what I actually want to do. But on days 35 to 40, we actually ended up completing the little water system for our crop farm. I basically decided to just let the top source blocks fall all the way down to like the last layer of farm that we had, and it worked out pretty well. I mean, I don't know, I honestly, I just got really lazy and I didn't want to put a source block in every hole. So by breaking the top one and just letting it flow down, it made it easier. But now when we do farm crops, we kind of have an elevator, which is kind of cool because then we could just go up and down in the middle, which is nice because as of right now, the only really way we could go up and down our chunk is with the ladder. And as you guys know, ladders, they get slow after a while. And after that, we basically started breaking down the walls as well, trying to make everything look nicer. I know it's just a farm, but like I said, I want to make everything match, or at least try to make everything match. So we did go ahead and clear that out, got it, made it all pretty, made it all nice. And we made sure to plant the carrots that we had gotten from our grinder. I did want the potatoes so we can get baked potatoes, as I wouldn't think we would be able to make a gold farm in the nether, because it seems like our chunk in the nether is just cased in bedrock. So I don't know how we would even think about making a farm that way. And we also harvested whatever wheat we could and replanted all those seeds just so we can start the production on bread, because our food sources had been quite limited. And honestly, the rest of the time throughout these days, we just spent it getting wood because we wanted that diamond armor. As you guys can tell, I took off my iron armor. I don't know exactly why I took it off. I believe I had crafted my boots and my leggings, and then I guess I took my iron armor off, and then I just never put it back on. But the chunk was well lit up, so it never became a priority. Mobs weren't spawning, and the only real danger was if the mob grinder exploded. But I think I learned my lesson in the last episode on Skyblock, where that went south. So we were taking everything quite safely. And we also spent a ton of time grinding mobs. Why? I don't know. We have a ton of XP at this point, and I don't have any animals to craft a book, so there's no enchantment table, there's no anvil, there's nothing really. Like, I have all this XP and I can't even enchant anything with it. But, you know, hopefully we get some cows spawning sometime soon. And then on day 40, we did it, boys. We did it. I wanted to cry. We finally got the full diamond after countless. I don't even know how much wood I chopped down, but we did it, baby. Woo! Nah, and then once we got the diamond armor, it was obviously the time for us to go to the nether. So we grabbed our balls tightly, squeezed them, and we built the portal and went straight into that baby. It was ours. History was going to be made. It was our victory lap. It was all ready for us to succeed. And then after all that grabbing our balls with mighty strength talk that I just gave, I found out that we were also in a chunk again, which was kind of lame. There was no mobs. There was just kind of like a pool and lake of lava, which, you know, lava's cool and all, but we don't really need a ton of lava. And honestly, there was only one way for us to go, so we went up and tried to see what we could find. But unfortunately, after checking the top, I didn't really find anything except for some quartz and another lava pool. Surprisingly, I know, right? A lava pool in the nether. Ooh, spooky. But yeah, I was pretty underwhelmed. It felt like when Anthem came out and it was a shit show and the game died like 2 weeks after. There was nothing here for me, so I went back into the overworld because screw the nether, there's nothing here, or at least that's what I had thought until I came back in the future. I used my DeLorean, of course, but yeah, we basically just went back. And when we got back from the nether, we actually played some Bob the Builder RP. I am no good builder, as I've stated in the past. I suck at building. I have zero imagination when it comes to building, but somehow something in my brain like switched. Like, you know, I had a blown fuse, and I don't know, maybe I had like a little extra caffeine this day, but we somehow actually managed to build something tolerable. Now, like I said, you know, I think it looked good, like speaking on the end product, but I feel like some of these builders are like that end up watching this are just gonna be like, oh, this is a piece of shit. Yeah, well, you know, this is my magnum opus, okay? This is basically probably the best thing I've built in the past 5 years easily. So if you hate on it, go easy on me. I'm just a little human being with feelings. Don't make me cry. But anyways, we also worked on the floor. I didn't really know what to do with it, but I didn't want it to just be flat because, you know, flat is cool, but it doesn't really look too crazy. And since we had all these weird holes in the wall, I felt like we needed to get a pattern going on the floor. So we did end up making it look quite nice, or at least in my opinion, it's nice. So if you don't like it, please send your complaint to the IRS, and please don't contact them. Just be happy for me. And on days 45 to 50, we did a little Farmer John simulator. We basically just hoed and tilled all our ground. I don't even know if tilled's the right word to use, but we're just gonna pretend it is. But yeah, we went through quite a lot of stone hoes. But we got her done. We did it. And we got the water spreading all good, and we were happy. I was Farmer Brown. I could provide for my family at this point. I was happy. And then we saw a zombie villager trapped in our grinder. It was perfectly waiting for us there, with just a couple other mobs that we had to take out with our axe so we wouldn't kill everything with Sweeping Edge. But not that I have Sweeping Edge as an enchantment, but I don't know what else to call that, like multi-hit swish swoosh thing, so we're just gonna go with what I just said. And we were able to actually trap the guy, which is really exciting because I need trades, because I'm kind of broke, if you haven't been able to tell. Like, I have diamond armor, but without enchantments, am I really doing it right? No. But yeah, we got him trapped, and I did a little hoppy hippity happy dance, and we repaired the grinder, and it was back to grinding. We also gave the chunk a little bit of some TLC because it looks ugly with stone and stone brick all mismatched. So we broke down a ton of walls and we replaced it with some good old stone bricks, which took quite some time to smelt. I did have 8 furnaces running, but yeah, I didn't want to make any more because it was taking up a ton of space up top, and I also needed to mine more trees for more resources. But yeah, there's only so much you can do when it comes to smelting, especially like this is kind of like Skyblock. I mean, I don't really have access to iron or anything to make like a super smelter, so we were just screwed with some primitive stuff, but we managed to get it done at the end of the day. And I also harvested all the wheat that we had planted. It was quite a ton of bread that we got out of it, so I was happy because food wasn't really an issue at this point, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, I basically just didn't replan it so I could also take down the walls and replace it with stone brick, because I just hate looking at how mismatched this is. We had stone, cobblestone, torches just tossed everywhere. It didn't look too good, but we got it done. And then it was day 50 to 55. But did you guess what I was gonna do? Did you think I was gonna do something different? If so, you are incorrect. We did the exact same shit. Same shit, different day. We broke down a ton of stone and replaced it with more stone, but instead it was stone brick. Um, yeah, it was getting repetitive, but the whole thing was just like a super overcomplicated thing because I had to wait for all the stone brick to smell. So at times I didn't really know what to do, just because I didn't know what to do. Like, what am I supposed to do while it smelts? I'm pretty sure if I would go to the nether, I wouldn't really be loading in the chunks so they wouldn't smelt. So I was kind of stuck in the chunk until basically that got smelted and I could finish placing everything back down, because yeah, I had crazy amounts of XP from the grinder, so I couldn't just keep killing more mobs for XP, because what's the point? And yeah, like there wasn't really much to do. Animals weren't spawning, I didn't have anything else going on, so it is what it is. And on the 55th day, I basically just decided randomly that it was time to finish filling up this crop room and actually making ourselves a sugarcane farm. I didn't really have anything else to farm. I hadn't found any chorus, well, we can't really have chorus because we haven't gone to the nether, but like, I basically didn't have anything. So I settled with sugarcane because eventually we would need it for paper, for rockets, and to make some books, but leather was an issue until I found out that I could fish leather, and we did get one piece of leather. So we were able to get our enchantment table, but that was it. I was not about to farm for millions of hours just to get enough bookshelves for a full level 30 enchant table. And yeah, it was, you know, something nice and simple. I could have used sand, but I didn't want to get a ton of wood, or at least waste my wood to get more sand from the villager trader, because I was using a ton of wood to make it into charcoal so I could smelt a ton of stone. So it would have just been counterproductive if I went that route. And on day 56, we actually relocated our zombie villager to the other side so that I could get the witch that had spawned in like a random area that I didn't fill in. So in the corner of the chunk, she was just chilling in there. So we had to get her into a boat. So we brought her down, gave her the beats, the Mike Tyson 1-2 knockout, just beat her into submission and got her ass in the damn boat. Quick disclaimer, no witches were harmed in the making of this video. We then went to the nether, where we actually found something. So if you guys could tell, that is the bedrock wall, and it seems that the actual fortress kind of managed to break through the bedrock, so we were able to actually get out, which I don't know if this is considered cheating or not because I'm not in the chunk, but I wasn't about to waste the opportunity, and I do love myself a little bit of a advantage, you know. We need another wart for the potions, and we hadn't been able to find any in our chunk because our chunk didn't even have anything except for a blaze spawner, which is pretty cool, but I mean, what am I gonna do with netherrack? Like, there was literally nothing for us to do in that chunk. And we were doing some exploring, and I found a bastion, or at least that's what I think it's called. Like I said, I haven't really played too much of the new nether stuff, so I'm calling it a bastion. If it isn't, if it's wrong, correct me, I don't care. I'm calling it a bastion. But we basically just went, cut the 4 chests that were available and just ran out. I don't know why, but there wasn't any mobs that like could kill us. A couple of the axe guys did spawn in, but I honestly don't know if these are supposed to be this easy. I know that when I watch like speedrun videos and stuff, it looks way more intense because these guys do a ton of damage, but I mean, thinking back on it, I'm kind of grateful that there was nothing there because I need this win. I need to get through the 100 days. On day 58, we tore down the ladder system that we had going because it took forever to go up and down, and we basically just made a water elevator, or at least I tried to, but I didn't really have a way to make all the water source blocks, so it kind of worked. And yep, that is the small body of water that we've been fishing out of, and this is kind of a zoom out of what we've done so far. As you guys could tell, the majority of the build is stone brick, and it looks great. I do have to go back down and fix all the weird errors and the other blocks that are left, but so far, we've replaced a ton with stone brick. I then built something that was quite embarrassing. At the time I didn't know that they had changed the way fishing works, so I thought I could just make myself one of those AFK fish farms and just grab a ton of enchanted books, better rods, all that good stuff, but it turns out that you can only get fish from these farms. So I basically spent what little iron I had on a hopper thanks to the bastion chest, but still I wasted that much iron on something that didn't even end up working, and I honestly regret everything about this, but you know, we learned what not to do and we live to fight another day, if that's what we could say. I guess I just don't be a dumbass next time, Stony. Like, what is this? On day 60, we were back in the nether because the first fortress didn't have anything but a bag of air like the one SpongeBob used to get back to Bikini Bottom. But we were basically looking for a fortress because we just really needed the nether wart for the potions. And I was getting desperate. I mean, I was tired. I needed villagers. I needed it. And after searching for what seemed forever, we found another fortress, and this time there was blaze and wither skeletons, but they were pretty easy to take care of with our bow. Plus we had the spectral arrows that we got from the bastion, which, you know, if you have shaders, they just blind you when something is like outlined. It's so bright, it literally just like it. You probably need a epilepsy warning if you have epilepsy and seizures, but I can't even say it. We basically just got the nether wart, and we basically went all the way back from where we came from because this was a dangerous place and I don't like it. There's spooky noises. Back home, we actually started making the potions, only to realize that we didn't even need the nether wart. I made suspicious potion, I couldn't even make the damn weakness potion. We spent all that time looking for the nether wart and I didn't even need it. But we got the weakness potion, but I wasted all that time. So I don't know. But anyways, we actually got the second zombie villager in our grinder, so I made sure to clear out all the mobs while using our axe. I know it looks a little weird because I had to get the replay from the replay mod because my footage got corrupted, which is super annoying, but just pretend there's an axe there chopping down all the mobs. And we basically trapped the dude in a bow, and it was just time to do the magic. We then splashed him with a sussy potion, gave him a couple gold apples, and it was just time to wait. But they eventually did convert to villagers, so we put them in a pen, and by pen I mean 3x1 in the corner of the room where nothing else could attack them, and they'll be trapped there forever. It is very humane. We were also able to craft some Eye of Enders, so we went down to the portal and actually placed them on the portal, but we still needed 4, so that was pretty much it for now. And then we actually began trading with these weird sussy guys. You know, we needed to get their trades up so we could get some decent stuff out of them. We were basically abusing them for their goods. On day 66, we completed the end portal, and it was time to make the big jump into the end. And oh my god, we died. We fell down. We glitched through the obsidian block and just fell. I tried throwing an ender pearl. No, what's the point? I'm falling. I died. It's over. It's. We failed again. We just can't seem to get to 100 days. This is Notch's fault. This is because Notch sold Minecraft to Microsoft. I blame Notch. But, yeah, so I guess this is the end to this episode. I mean, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you like. I'll be uploading soon. I'm gonna go cry myself to sleep.